Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast today, look as part of the Serology and Squil. This audio podcast today, as part of the Hustle and Serotype. This audio podcast, as part of a Defcon premiere, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. Today, looking at and continuing on this premiere, and now looking into sort of transplant immunobiology and idiosyncrasy. So the varied expression of chemokines within an allograft brings into question the best approach to targeting chemokines for IST or immunosuppression pharmacotherapy, and it would be better to block or inhibit early innate immune responses to the allograft, thus precluding the infiltration of non allo antibodies. Non allo antigens and specific cells, and inhibiting the adaptive and at the same time inhibiting the adaptive immune response. A few questions that have been asked in earlier works were such were for example, which chemokines are most crucial for graft or allograft infiltration. Most and at the same time, must all chemokines be blocked, or is neutralization of only a specific few sufficient to prompt or promote allograft prognoses? So further, as observed in cardiac or by myocardial cells, and gallium nitrate treated hosts, some chemokines persist even after allograft acceptance and sort of borderline tolerance, with no apparent determinant to allograft or detriment to allograft. CXCL10 knockout laboratory murine or mice investigations found or identified that donor cells were not expressed, but exhibited prolonged graft prognoses, and wild type laboratory murine or mice lacking CXCL10 heart allografts heart allografts or cardiac allografts had rejected. This suggests in part that the ability for allograft to secrete T cell recruiting inflammatory chemokines may directly result in its own acute allograft rejection. Other early research using CCR1 both binds CCR1 and wherein the chemokine CCR1 binds both the CCL3 and CCL5, or CXCR3, which binds both CXCL9 and CXCL10, not in laboratory mice investigations, as cardiac allograft recipients, which in aligned to allografted recipients, cardiac allografted recipients achieved some prolonged graft prognoses in the absence of anti-rejection pharmacotherapy or IST pharmacotherapy, but infinite allograft prognoses in combination with sort of older generation IST or older IST such as CSA. And to note additionally that CXCL1 anti-serum was given or administered intravenously to laboratory murine cardiac allografted in cardiac allografted in laboratory cardiac allografted murine or mice models, and where investigations then informed that 30 minutes post transplant or allografted post allografted post allografted laboratory murine models had highlighted disrupted parts of the of and in around the normal chemokine cascade, resulting in sort of a decreased CXCL9 and CXCL10 expression, and decreased cellular infiltrate, and also DGF or evidence of delayed graft function or delayed allograft function. That draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast is part of the Serology and Squil. This audio podcast as part of the Hustle and Serotype. This audio podcast as part of a Defcon premiere. And this audio podcast as part of a Storm Lobostics production.